What it do, Kaizoku crew? It's your boy Kaizoku Ice, birthday week edition Kaizoku Ice. So, of course, as I said in my recent video, we will be doing a bunch of videos, hopefully every single day this week, but more importantly, giveaways every single day this week. So, let me make my screen a little bit bigger here. If you haven't already entered for the Roger Secret Rare giveaway from my previous video about the OP-10 pull rates, go ahead and leave a comment there. It will enter you in for the raffle for the Roger. But for today's video, we will be giving away these two cards, the Yamato Secret Rare from PRB, and then the second anniversary Luffy promo. So once again, y'all know the deal. End of this video, leave a comment. I don't know what yet. I'll probably come up with it during the video. But guys, I was seeing some of the comments from yesterday's video, and y'all were like, Kaizoku Ice, Excel Master, we love the Excel sheets. Excel is the only reason why I watch your videos. And I'm like, well, dang, I guess I kind of have to make some more Excel sheets. So for today's video, we'll be talking about Romance Dawn, in particular, the trends of the top 10 cards and how they compared, from the past month, 5 months ago, and a year ago, and then the percentage difference from year to year, because I think that will give us a pretty good insight on what we can expect the card to do in the next, couple months / in the next year. So we got the nice little Excel here. Just created this. This is fresh off the press. My fingers are low-key tired. Gotta do some finger exercises. I don't know. Anyways, I'm rambling. Let's get started. Let's start off with the Shanks manga rare. Current price on TCG Player is $840. This column here is the range of sale prices. So I've got the lowest price on the left and the highest price on the right here. And I've got the price from a month ago, 5 months ago, 1 year ago, and then the percent difference from year to year, and then my Kaizoku Ice rating. So with the Shanks, as I said earlier, the current price is $840. The range of sale prices on the low end, we had about $750, and the high price of $1,400. Actually, as I'm speaking, let me just take a step back here. All of these prices came from TCG Player, but guys, if you guys aren't familiar with TCG Player, it's not the most accurate in regards to prices from, month to month, from year to year. I use a mixture of the charts here that, TCG Player provides. So I was using, the 1 month, 3 month, 6 month, and 1 year charts. But then I was also mainly using the 1 year snapshot tab here. So yeah, the sales history snapshot. And I was basically kind of just going through and looking at all the prices. And that's why if you look back at my sheet, I put price about 5 months ago. And the reason why I have that column and not like 6 months ago is because on TCG Player, it only goes up to 5 months ago. And then I kind of estimated the year price based off of what I saw here in the chart. But once again, the chart is kind of, honestly, I think it's kind of skewed. And I'm not sure how they are creating this chart and what data goes into this. But I mean, there has never been a time, to my knowledge, in the history of my collection or collecting of One Piece, that the Shanks manga rare raw went for almost 2.4k. Like, that has never happened. Actually, I think the highest I've seen the Shanks in a PSA 10 was about like 2.5 to 3k. So I literally don't know where this outlier of a data point came from. So that's why, I kind of, more or less made my own estimations for the for this column here. So with all that being said, let's just take a look at the prices from a month, 5 month to a year level. So it's pretty much stayed consistent, the Shanks manga rare, from the past month to the past 5 months. There hasn't been really much deviation at all. But, a year ago, the price of the Shanks manga rare was about, $1,400, which, I got that number once again from here. And once again, there's like, it says $1,700, but 0 items sold. And then here it says like 1,100. So it's kind of hard to get an exact number. I kind of estimated for around, 1,400. But regardless, what you can see from this graph is that there clearly has been a downtrend on the Shanks manga rare, and it is down about 40% to my estimations from year to year. So currently 840, and then last year about 1,400. I don't love to see that, but I will say that I do think the reason why the Shanks manga rare is so low right now is simply because the price was probably a little bit overinflated, a year ago. And now that we have more manga rares coming out and better sets from, OP-11 and then from EB-02 and then some, in between that, obviously OP-09 was one of the biggest sets. And that probably sucked some liquidity out of the overall One Piece market because, people just wanted to get the Goldie Roger manga. I think that's why this card kind of went down, a good amount. However, this is still the first manga rare in all of One Piece, and I do think that this card will eventually go up over time, being the first manga rare in the entire history of the card game. So that in itself gives it some inherent value. And now, I know you guys love the actual data-driven analysis. However, I think my actual expertise kind of comes in with me knowing the actual show and literally being up to date. And, where we're kind of going currently in the manga, Shanks is clearly going to be a major part of the endgame. I've said this so many times, and whether Shanks ends up being a part of, working with Luffy or being one of the villains or whatever, literally no one knows, but Shanks is going to be a huge part at the end of the show. And, I think his popularity is just going to continue to increase over time. And hopefully we can get back to, this price of around 1400 in the next couple of years because he is Shanks and he is the first manga rare of One Piece. Next we've got here is the Zoro Alt Art Leader. So the Zoro Alt Art Leader is currently $345, and the lowest it sold in the past year is about $180, and the highest was $400. 1 month ago, the price hasn't changed too much. It's, about $350 about a month ago. But 5 months ago, this card was only going for about $200. And about 1 year ago, I kind of estimated around $180. The percent difference from year to year is 92%. So we've had a 92% increase from last year to now. And that just shows, just how strong the Zoro Alt Art Leader itself as a card from collectability and also from a playability standpoint is. This deck in particular, the red Zoro Rush deck, has been literally consistent for the past, from OP-01 all the way till now. Obviously, there's been some power creep here and there, and then probably I know Zoro was a tier 1 deck. Now I don't know exactly where it's at, but I do still think it's viable just because it is a powerful deck. And the price kind of reflects that. Over the past couple months it did go down because maybe the deck wasn't as good, but I do think it's slowly starting to come up just because, one, Zoro is literally Zoro, and I also think that, two, people are starting to realize that all of the alternate art leaders from Romance Dawn do have inherent value as they are the first leaders in the entire set. So yeah, Zoro is a really great card in general. You guys already know I talked about it in my what is the Charizard of the One Piece trading card game going to be. And this price increase, in my opinion, is more than likely not sustainable. I kind of tend to stay away from cards that went up, almost 2x in the past year, because from my perspective, that means it has less room to grow compared to a card that's, down, and then it can potentially go back up. With this card, having some really great price increase over the past year, literally almost a 2x. I don't think it's going to do another 2x in the next year. I don't think this card's going to be, a $600 card. I do think it might hover around $300, maybe go up, maybe go a little bit lower, but I still think that over the time of, the next couple of years, 5, 10, 15, 20 years of One Piece trading card game, this will be one of the staples. It will forever be a high value card. So you should just get one in general because, I think it will hold its price currently, and I think it will go up a lot more over time, in the next couple of years. Okay. So the next most expensive card in Romance Dawn currently is the Trafalgar Law Alt Art Leader. Current price of $250 and a range of sale prices from $208 to $350. A month ago, it was about $260, so it's gone in a little bit less than what it currently is priced at. And then 5 months ago, it's literally, about the same price at $240. A year ago, it was only $150, and the year-to-year difference is 66%. So once again, I think the Trafalgar Law Alt Art Leader, wow, I am having a hard time saying that. Once again, L speaker, L reader by me. Anyways, I do think that the Trafalgar Law is one of the better cards and one of the better alternate art leader arts. It has increased quite significantly, just like the Zoro, and I think, once again, I think all of the alt art leaders kind of have that similar effect of, the prices increasing the past year just because, people are starting to realize just how cool these cards are, and they are technically like the first edition of all leaders throughout the One Piece trading card game, so people will want them regardless. The next card I want to talk about is the Nami alt art, just a regular alt art. It is currently going for about $210. Range of sale prices go from $116 at the low end to $247 on the higher end. Price about a month ago was $200, 5 months ago about $190, and about a year ago was actually it topped out at $250. So year to year is actually down 16%. And I actually think that kind of gives us a good opportunity to buy into this card. I actually do think that the Nami probably has the most potential out of, honestly, kind of like all of the cards here, for the simple fact that it's Nami, she is a girl. The artwork on the card is literally insane. It literally low-key gets me going, not gonna lie. Pause, kind of weird, whatever, I don't care. I love the card, I love Nami. So I do think that this card just has a lot of potential overall. I'm not talking, let me take a step back too. For all these cards here, I'm not talking about any of the pre-errata cards. I'm literally just talking about the errated versions, and yeah, that's pretty much it. I literally have another video on the errated versions of those cards that I posted like a week ago, and y'all can just watch that video if you want my opinion on that. So anyways, I still think that whether it's the errated or pre-errated Nami, this is still a great buy to have, because we have seen, her peak price about a year ago is about $250, and I still think that Romance Dawn is going to become more scarce over time, and it's just going to be harder and harder to get boxes of either the white bottom or blue bottom Romance Dawn, and once it's become so scarce, all of these cards in this list are going to go up, and I think the one that has the most potential is the Nami alt art. So, moving right along, we got the Luffy alt art leader. So, current price is $200, range of sale price is $115 to $255. Price 1 month ago is about $200, so literally no change between now and a month ago. But the price 5 months ago is about $150, so it's clearly gone up in the past couple of months. And then a year ago was actually only $115. So year to year, we are up about 73% for this card, and this is actually my number one because it is Luffy. He is the main character of the show, and out of all of the alt art leaders, I know Zoro costs the most right now. I'm not sure if it's simply because he is a playable card, but I personally think that the best alt art leader is the Monkey D. Luffy from a hold and collecting perspective, because once again, he is literally the main character of the show. Everybody loves Luffy. You really can't go wrong with him. And I know, similar to the Zoro and the Law, I know that we are up almost 2x on the card in the past year. So can it go up even higher? I think it actually can, just because it is Luffy, and people are starting to realize that the alt art leaders, or the main alt art leaders being the Zoro, Law, and Luffy, all have gone up because they are the three best leaders in Romance Dawn. And if you can kind of compare them, I know I haven't talked about them yet, but all the other alt art leaders here, you can see in rows 9 through 11, they're not doing extremely well, and that's just because I think people are starting to gravitate more towards the top cards as opposed to just trying to get, every single alt art leader. They just want, the big three or the big two of a particular set. So I love the Luffy alt art leader. He's number one for me. Let's move on. We got the Doofy alt art leader. So current price is $160. The range of sale prices is $160 to $350. And currently it is on a decline. So just looking real quick at the 1 year price, it was $350. I know the reason for that price being so high is simply because the blue Doofy was one of the best decks in the entire trading card game. I know it's won a lot of tournaments. Currently, right now, I don't think it's one of the more, meta decks. So I think that clearly shows here, and the price is reflecting that because it is down almost 50% from year to year, right? So I think that this card just in general has a lot of staying value because Doofy is one of the cooler villains in the show, but I am a little bit fearful of this card because if you compare it to the other villains of the show like Crocodile and Kaido, those cards go for a lot less, literally almost $100 less than the Doofy alt art leader. So it kind of makes me think Doofy has a little bit more potential to free fall downwards because, you know, if it doesn't have any playability, are people going to want to collect it, or are people going to want to buy the card to collect and, you know, hold, expecting it to go up? I think that this card in particular, most of its value is being carried by its playability in the actual trading card game, and there are better cards to hold from a collecting and investing purpose, being, you know, the Luffy, Zoro, and the Nami alt arts. And, you know, that's why I kind of have it low in my Kaizoku Ice rating here. You know, I just realized I haven't been mentioning the rating for any of the cards I just spoke about, so I think I'll go over all of that again at the end of the video so y'all can, you know, get my full take on each of the cards. Next one I want to talk about is the Zoro regular alt art. This card's pretty cool. So current price is $69. That's a nice number. Range of sale prices on the low end, $42, on the high end, $120. About a month ago, it was actually pretty high. And if you just look here at the prices from 1 month, 5 month, and 1 year ago, clearly the price of the Zoro alt art has gone down, and I don't think that's a good sign at all. I actually don't love the art for this card, like literally like at all. I think it just looks kind of weird, and actually I think that's the only alternate art from Romance Dawn that I don't own, because I just didn't really see any value in it from like a collectability standpoint. I just thought the art was weird, and I'd rather have cooler looking Zoro cards like the alternate art leader. So right, it's down almost half its price from year to year, and yeah, I just don't really love the card. If it's, you know, if this card becomes playable, or I think it is playable in decks, but let's say there's a bunch of more red decks become popular, and maybe this card just goes back up, to its peak price of about $100 in the future. But once again, just like literally from a collectability standpoint, I just don't see too much value in this card at all, and that's why I have it as my lowest rating here and my Kaizoku Ice rating. All right, we got 3 left. Crocodile alt art leader. You guys know I love this card because of everything it has going in regards to the live action, and we're going to get introduced to Crocodile in the live action. Current price $69, once again great number. Range of sale prices on the low end $35, high end $105. It has seemed like it's gone, down from year to year. About a year ago it was $100, and past couple months it stayed pretty steady around $70. 31% difference from year to year. I think that actually gives us a really good opportunity to buy into that card, because I think that it's, relatively low for such a cool leader or alt art leader. And once again, with everything with the live action coming up, I do think that this card is, there is a catalyst for this card to go up. And, that's why I've kind of packed my bags accordingly for the Crocodile alt art leader, because I do think that, it just has a lot of potential with all these catalysts coming up. So not much else to say about that. Next, we've got the Oden alt art leader. Current price of $67. This was actually pretty low on the low end sale price, so $23 at its lowest. At its highest, it was $110. Price a month ago was about $68, and the past couple of year or 5 months and a year ago was about $50. So year to year, it has actually increased about 34%. To be honest, guys, I don't really have too much of an opinion on this card. Kaizoku Oden is really cool, but once again, the Wano arc is over, so there's not too much to, go off of him at this point. If anything, I'd have more faith in like a Momonosuke alt art leader, because I'm sure he's going to have a part in the final act of the show. So, and I don't even think that the Oden leader is that good in decks or anything, so I think people are just kind of getting this card just because Kaizoku Oden himself is literally so cool. He was part of Roger's crew, and, he's just a fun little samurai. But personally, I don't think I'd get this card at all. Just besides the fact that I want him for like my collection, I just don't see too much investability and collectability on his end. And lastly, we've got Mr. Kaido, the strongest beast character in all of One Piece. Current price of $52. Range of sale price, low end $38, high end $105. Price a month ago and 5 months ago stayed about the same at $55 and $50 respectively. But 1 year ago is actually almost $100. And I literally think that the reason why this card was so expensive a year ago was because we were in the final act of Wano. It was literally Luffy versus Kaido, and there's probably a lot of hype around Kaido at the time. And that also kind of shows you guys that recency bias is a thing, and whoever is currently in the show kind of dictates price more or less. Obviously, the thing that dictates price the most right now is the playability of the cards in the trading card game, but there is also some, hype around it. So it was literally Gear 5 Luffy versus Kaido about a year ago, so people were really excited about that whole fight, and I think that's why the price was so high about a year ago. But as you guys can see now, the price has gone down about half, and I think that's expected because, once again, the Wano arc is over. Kaido's pretty much done. We're not going to see him again, presumably, so I mean, there's just not much reason to own him anymore. So that's once again another thing that you guys should be kind of thinking about. Is this character going to be relevant? Is this character currently, kind of popping off in the show or in the manga? And maybe I can pack my bags accordingly. And I actually have some previous videos. If you haven't watched some of my original videos about, the 25th anniversary collection, I think I said I really like Frankie going forward because of what I think he's going to do in the current arc in the manga. I think he's going to be a main character. So yeah. So that's pretty much it from the number perspective of things here. Let's go to the Kaizoku Ice final rating for each card. So number 1 card is the Monkey D. Luffy alternate art leader. Don't think I have to say much about that. It is just Luffy and is one of the coolest looking cards, and it is a leader card, so that is fantastic. Nami is number 2 for me. She's Nami. She's got really great reasons, 2 obviously really great reasons for her to be up there. Not much else to say once again. Next we've got Zoro at 3. This is a little bit more, you could say, risky to buy right now because you are essentially buying at the top, around $350. So I think there is some potential for this card to keep going down, or it could keep going up. But just know that if you do want to get this card, you are buying at its top price. So hopefully it goes up more. If you do buy this card, it doesn't just start tanking right after I talk about it in this video. But once again, over the course of time, I think that this card will just have a lot of potential and staying power as, one of the top cards in Romance Dawn. The next card, number 4, was Crocodile. I love Crocodile because of what I think he's going to do in the live action. That in itself is a catalyst. And as I was talking about literally just like a minute ago with the Kaido, hype sells, and whatever is, really popular currently is going to do well. And I think, in the next year, once we see Crocodile in the live action, it's going to be really hype. He's going to be really popular. And his cards, his card might go back up to his $100 price point about a year ago because, we're going to see such a cool dude in the live action that everyone's going to want his card. So, let's see. Number 5, I actually have Trafalgar Law. He's literally just so cool. I don't have really anything else to say. His pre-eroded version, I think, is literally the best investment. His eroded version, I don't really have too much of an opinion on it. Clearly, it does well because it's still about $250 currently in today's market. Similar to the Zoro, you might be kind of paying at its top price if you buy it right now. But I think that because this card is so, just so like cool looking in general, it's literally Trafalgar Law's full phase, and because Trafalgar Law is a lot of people's favorite character, this card does have staying power, and that's why I have it at 5. Next card is Shanks at 6. I simply have him at 6 because I think that there are better investments in general, like $1,000 or $840 for the Shanks at this moment. I think you could probably do better on a lot of different cards, and even if you bought like a box of OP-11, I think I'd rather put $160 into OP-11 than $160 that could go into that Shanks card. I do think Shanks is going to go up. Like this 40% difference from year to year, I think that's honestly a fluke. He is the first manga rare in the entire set, so that in itself gives him some value. So I don't think he's a better buy than all of the alt art leaders because there is another Shanks manga in OP-09, and that kind of, I think, makes it hard to I know it's the first Shanks manga, but the fact that there's 2 Shanks arts in manga rare form, I don't particularly love, and it kind of, in my opinion, split the price. Like, I think if there's only one Shanks manga from Romance Dawn and not one in OP-09, then this might be a little bit higher price. I think it's probably gonna be closer to like $1,000 card, but I think that kind of ruined the price for this card. But in general, I still like this card. I think it's going to do well, over time, with it being the first manga in the trading card game. And then lastly, I think I can just kind of speed through the next. Doofy, Kaido, and Oden, 7, 8, and 9. they're just not as good as, you know, the other leaders I talked about with the Zoro, Law, and Luffy. So, you know, I just don't think that there's too much potential on their ends, obviously, because they're pretty much done in the show. And if there's no playability with those cards and there's no hype around them in the show, then I think that their prices are pretty much just gonna like plateau at this point on. And then lastly, my number 10 is the Zoro alternate art, just because I think the art kind of sucks. That's a bias thing on my end, but I think you can also see here based off of the actual data, it is continuing to go down. It's almost down 50% year to year. So I think people are just trying to get out of this card because they just don't see value in it. So, yep, that is it for this video. Yeah, I hope y'all enjoyed. I hope y'all actually enjoy. Like, I know I've done other videos about Romance Dawn, and I've talked about more from like a personal opinion perspective, but I hope you guys enjoy the data actually backing up what I'm talking about. So yeah, that's the end of this video. Hope y'all enjoyed, and now we can talk about how you guys can get the giveaway for this video. So holy moly, this video's been going on for 25 minutes. Yo, I really be yapping. Hope y'all actually enjoyed this video. It wasn't like anything like literally sleep or put y'all to sleep. If it did, I apologize. I hopefully can make the next video tomorrow a little bit shorter. Anyways, how you can win the Yamato and the 2nd anniversary Luffy. All you guys have to do is let me know what your personal ranking for Romance Dawn is, whether it's a top 10, or maybe I missed a card. Maybe you think that the Boa Hancock is going to be one of the cards that you should collect, or you agree with my list. I'm just very curious on what you actually think about Romance Dawn in terms of, you know, collectability and the future of Romance Dawn. You know, maybe it's better to buy a box. I don't know. But anyways, that's all you have to do is obviously be subscribed, like the video, and you have a chance, and commenting obviously, and you have a chance to win these cards. We're actually almost at 800 subscribers. Kind of crazy. I don't know what happened recently. Y'all all of a sudden started subscribing. I don't know if it's because of the giveaways or it's because y'all like the Excel sheets. But thank you guys. If we can reach 800 by the end of this week, we'll literally be doing another 800 subscriber giveaway, and that's going to be even bigger than like anything else I've just talked about recently. So let's get there, guys. Hopefully we can. I'm Kaizoku Ice. I hope y'all enjoyed the video, and I'll catch y'all hopefully tomorrow if I'm consistent. We'll see.